Number 10. Lied about men's prison. When Nikita was arrested, fans were really shocked to find out that she was apparently being held in the men's unit in the correctional center. There was so much outrage for her plight that there was even a petition started online for her, which racked up 24,000 signatures. The petition stated that by being held in the men's unit, she was in immediate and very real danger from transphobes and predators, and that holding her there was a severe violation of her human rights. However, the Miami-Dade Corrections Facility has since come out and debunked those claims. They released a statement saying, "Inmate Dragon never made it beyond the booking process prior to release, therefore she was never placed in the men's unit. All inmates undergoing our intake process remain in an open seating area in the presence of correctional staff." They also explained that Nikita was placed in a separate holding cell due to her high-profile status as an influencer, and apparently one of the officers who brought her in was also a part of the LGBTQ community himself. So it doesn't really seem like she was being held in the men's ward after all, but they might not have communicated that properly to her at the time. Number 9. Smiling in court. The video that went viral of Nikita was in the Miami-Dade Bond court, and it shines a very bad light on her because she appears to show zero remorse for her actions. In the clip, the 26-year-old can be seen wearing an orange prison jumpsuit while on a virtual call with the now famous Judge Mindy Glazer. As the details surrounding her arrest are being discussed, Nikita looks completely unbothered and appears to be smiling throughout the video. When she realizes that she is able to leave, she just smiles at the judge, waves, and blows her a kiss. It just makes it seem like she thinks the whole thing is a joke, despite the fact that she was charged with felony battery on a police officer, misdemeanor disorderly conduct, and misdemeanor battery. Judging from the clip, you could make the argument that she doesn't appear to understand the gravity of what she did, but she clearly wasn't taking it very seriously either. Luckily, Judge Glazer was very nice about it and didn't seem to think that she was being sarcastic. Number 8. Couldn't pay her bond. It all started with a viral video of Nikita in jail talking to the judge, who asks her, "Do you have money to post a bond?" Nikita then looks uncertain and asks how much is it. When she finds out that it'll be $2,000, she says, "I might have to check." So when that video went viral, one of her fans, a Florida-based TikToker by the name of Ivy Wyatt, came to her rescue and ended up paying her bond. In a series of videos posted to TikTok, he explained that while he does not know Nikita personally and has only ever interacted with her over FaceTime, he believed that she was being bullied by jail staff, and that's why he wanted to help and get her out. So after paying her bond, he filmed himself in the car going to pick her up. But while he was in the parking lot of the correctional center, Nikita's management team apparently called him and told him to go home because they were already sending a car to retrieve her. This was around 2 a.m. But the whole thing was super shady because we already know that didn't happen, and Nikita got picked up by a group of random fans. Number 7. Picked up by fans. There's no way to downplay how crazy this is, but Nikita ended up getting picked up from jail by a group of random strangers who just drove off with her. In a series of TikTok videos, a user named Marilyn documents the moment that a disheveled looking Nikita comes out of the correctional center and runs straight towards them. The fan claimed that no one was there for Nikita and that she cried in their arms after they picked her up. She also posted disturbing videos of Nikita in the car where she looks completely strung out. Then the YouTuber was taken to a house with a large group of people where she appears to be behaving erratically and looks intoxicated while singing and dancing around, still wearing her clothes from jail. The title of the video read, "We were the only ones there to pick her up. We stayed with her for as long as we needed. We learned so much about her and became good friends." While it sounds like this group of people did help her out, there were so many things that could have gone wrong in this kind of situation. Number 6. No one was there for her. Amidst the unfolding chaos of Nikita's arrest, it became clear that no one in her own circle showed up for her when she needed the most. Not her friends, family, or management team, none of them were able to get her out of jail. That's something that was unfortunately left up to her fans. The video clip that went viral on TikTok shows the moment that she was getting picked up by a group of fans, and she was just waiting outside in the rain. The sad thing is that Nikita seemed to be taken aback when she realized that no one was waiting for her. The TikToker who posted the bail, Ivy Wyatt, said that he only did so when he called to inquire about her bond and realized that no one had even posted her bail, and at that point she'd already been in jail for quite some time. The strange thing is that Nikita has a whole management team on payroll, and there's no reason that they couldn't have helped her out. Also, where are all her real friends? Something about this whole situation just seems off. Number 5. Shady management team. Everything about Nikita's team was a red flag in this situation. Their absence and frankly their incompetence during her arrest was one of the first things that everyone noticed. Following her release, Nikita Dragon's public relations representative released a statement attacking the Miami-Dade County Corrections Department for placing her in a men's unit. Jack Ketsuyan said, "The situation with Nikita, who is legally female, being placed in the men's unit of a Florida jail is extremely disturbing and dangerous." He also said that she is receiving professional treatment in a mental health care facility now, and said that she is in a safe environment addressing her mental health. "We ask ask for continued respect for her privacy and the sensitivity of this matter as she seeks treatment and healing. It's true that that is exactly what she needs right now, but clearly her team is never going to address the fact that they were unable to help their client when she needed it most, and they even put her in danger by making her rely on the kindness of strangers to get her out of jail. So it's no wonder fans are calling for her to take them off her payroll. Number 4, disturbing fan video. The TikTok user Marilyn, who was a part of the group of fans who picked Nikita up from jail, filmed a disturbing video of the YouTuber when they brought her back to someone's house. In the video, you can see a disheveled looking Nikita surrounded by fans, still wearing her clothes from jail. She then starts singing out of nowhere and seems to be either intoxicated or going through some kind of a manic episode. The footage is concerning to say the least, and many of the comments underneath the video have compared it to the Gabby Hanna incident, when she let a stranger and so-called fan into her home while she was strung out on medication. The guy named Nicholas apparently asked to use her washroom, entered her home, and then prayed with her, despite the fact that her friends told Gabby to get him out of there because she was home alone at the time. Luckily, he didn't hurt her, but he did film the entire inside and outside of her house and posted disturbing videos with her. Now, Nikita might not have been in that same kind of danger, but in the videos you can clearly see that she is not all there and she seems to be really out of it. Number 3, Miami Beach Hotel. We know that last week the YouTuber was arrested after walking around naked at Miami Beach Hotel pool and causing a public disturbance. Police say when they got there, Nikita had been causing a disturbance for a long period of time, and when they asked her to cut it out, she became irate and threw water on the hotel staffers. Then when police and security went up to her room, she apparently opened the door after several knocks that ended up slamming the door in their faces. From that point on, things escalated very quickly. Nikita opened the door again and asked them, "Do you want more?" She then swung at them with an open water bottle, which hit them and spilled all over them. At that point, she got handcuffed. Although it does make sense that she should be punished for these actions, some of her supporters have pointed out that nothing she did was that serious to warrant her arrest, so they think there has to be some other kind of hidden reason that she was taken to jail. Number 2, the nightclub fight. Few people know that just hours before Nikita left the Miami Beach Hotel in handcuffs, she was also kicked out of a nightclub for getting into an altercation with 2 DJs. The incident occurred at Live, which is a Miami nightclub that attracts celebrity guests, and the DJ duo called Black V-Neck were performing there that night with Afrojack. The musicians told NBC News that the fight started when Nikita tried to steal their liquor bottle, and when they told her off, she shoved them and became irate. The 26-year-old then had to be escorted out of the venue by 6 security guards. In response, Nikita took to Twitter to defend herself, and she said she saw one of the men touch a woman inappropriately, and that's when the fight started. She tweeted, "Bottom line, I see a man put hands on a woman, cause need you forget, I know I look like a doll on the outside, but I still hit like a dude." So whatever happened, Nikita had been behaving erratically even before she was arrested. And coming in at number 1, mental health issues. Perhaps the biggest and most important red flag that we should have noticed about this crazy situation is that Nikita has been very open about struggling with her mental health prior to these violent outbursts. Last December, she admitted to her fans that she was involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital in Virginia for 8 days starting on Thanksgiving Day. Then in a YouTube video posted in May that she's since deleted, she said she has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Although there is a debate to be had over whether or not that's a valid reason for her behavior, it does give us some clarity when we talk about her recent chaotic public appearances. So with all that said, it's quite obvious that Nikita has been dealing with issues concerning her mental health over the past year. But the fact that she's now seeking treatment for that is a step in the right direction. Number 10, making Jimmy Fallon uncomfortable. Let's talk about Madonna's truly awkward appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon in 2021. She was promoting her new album Madam X, but before she even came on the stage, Jimmy won the audience. He said, "Madonna's been on the show so many times, and she never does anything that we plan. And if you've seen the interview, you know that is the truth, because this almost seemed like a premonition." The singer comes on and makes a big speech about how she's supposed to disturb the peace. She then throws herself onto Jimmy's desk without any warning. The host then yells, no, stop it, I don't know what to do." He then genuinely looks stressed. At one point, he takes off his jacket and seems to look around for help. Madonna responded saying that no one was going to see anything, then she immediately flashes her butt. Fans took to Twitter to voice their opinions on this mess of an interview. One said, "Was not impressed. She sure is her own thing for sure. Seems so fake." And another one said, "That Madonna interview on Jimmy Fallon was next level cringe. This was truly an off the rails interview that left fans disturbed and worried for who Madonna was becoming." Number 9, the Grammys appearance. Did you see Madonna at this year's Grammys? And did you recognize her? Many fans expressed how her new face is confusing. With her puffy lips and extremely smooth skin, speculations have been emerging about whether or not she has gone under the knife. One fan commented, "I really wish Madonna never touched her her face. There was really no reason. She was going to age beautifully. She always was beautiful. Someone even compared her to Jigsaw, which was downright horrible. Back in 2012, when she was asked about getting plastic surgery, she said, "I'm certainly not against plastic surgery. However, I am absolutely against having to discuss it." But even though she's never admitted to having work done, most industry experts believe she's got a numerous cosmetic surgery procedures, with one even saying that this is a case of injections gone bad. Amidst the speculation, Madonna clapped back at the haters and said, "Instead of focusing on what I said in my speech, many chose to only talk about close-up photos of me taken with a long lens by a photographer that would distort anyone's face." She then blamed the reaction on ageism and misogyny. Number 8. The V Magazine photo shoot. Back in 2021, the singer did something that made fans shocked, confused, and just generally pretty angry. Madonna was called insensitive after she did a controversial photo shoot for V Magazine. The 64-year-old entertainer covered their November-December issue, where she was interviewed by playwright Jeremy O. Harris about the purpose of artists and the negative effects of cancel culture. But when the photos came out, it was a disaster. In them, Madonna wears her hair in the iconic Marilyn Monroe ringlets, while she's laying down nude next to a bottle of medication and a telephone. But that wasn't the only thing that upset people. She was actually posing in the exact same position that Marilyn Monroe was found at the time of her death. This sparked outrage from fans everywhere. One of the biggest points of criticism was that Madonna was glamorizing the horror that Marilyn went through. Other people said that it felt like she was desperately seeking attention and did not consider the implications of posing in that kind of shoot. Some fans came to her rescue and said that she was just paying homage to Marilyn's last photo shoot, but most people can admit that it just didn't look good. Despite receiving a huge amount of backlash, the singer continued to promote the photos. Number 7. Disturbing TikToks. Have any of Madonna's slightly strange TikToks come up on your For You page? If you were a fan of the star a couple of years ago, you won't even recognize her in these videos. Many of her followers have been wondering if she's okay, and commenting things like, "You were my idol growing up. I used to love your music and creativity. Please stop with these weird reels. It's getting dark and concerning now." In the videos, she often wears provocative outfits and lip syncs along to aggressive lyrics, which sparked a lot of opinions in her comment section. But it's not just that. Madonna tends to come very close to the camera and moves in a suggestive way, which leaves fans very uncomfortable. Many viewers have said that they find it scary and unsettling. The singer has yet to address the comments, but instead she moved on to Instagram, where she has had a bit of drama in the past. She posted a photo of her exposed breast, which was quickly taken down for violating guidelines. She then bashed Instagram for a double standard. All of this has left people confused about her outlandish antics on social media. Now we have to ask the question, should we be worried, or is it just Madonna being Madonna? Number 6. The Like a Virgin performance. Back in 1984, Madonna performed the iconic song Like a Virgin during the MTV Video Music Awards. The performance was set to look like a wedding, with the singer emerging on top of a huge 3-tiered wedding cake in huge stilettos. When one of her heels gets loose, she kicks both of them off. The issue was that when she made it to the stage floor, she had to smoothly recover her shoes. When she did this, unfortunately her gown got hiked up and it exposed her undergarments to the cameras and to the 5,800 person audience. Today, this whole event would have definitely made the news, but it wouldn't have been judged as harshly as it was then. Many veterans of the music industry began speculating that Madonna's career has come and gone due to this performance. Apparently, her manager at the time, Freddie DeMann, was furious. Quote, "He was white with anger. He was so upset. He said, 'That's it, you've ruined your career.' I didn't even know my butt was showing. I couldn't compute everything that had happened. And since I didn't really have a career yet, I didn't feel that I had lost anything." This performance didn't end her career though, of course, but it did seem to spark something in Madonna. After this, she truly started to see just how many boundaries that she could break. Number 5. Madonna and Michael Jackson. The singer had always loved Michael Jackson from an early age, and at one point she said, "I was madly in love with him, totally smitten. He was mind-bogglingly talented." The two of them were briefly an item in the early 90s, after they began working on a project together and meeting up regularly. The entertainment industry is quick to assume relationships between the world's biggest stars when they're seen together, but Madonna actually confirmed that the two of them were an item in a 1991 interview. She revealed that she asked him if he would like to be her date to the Oscars and he accepted. She followed that up by saying, "And yes, he took me home. You want to know what happened after that? I'm not going to tell you." During a 2016 interview with James Corden on his Carpool Karaoke, Madonna again admitted that she did have a fling with Michael, but she said that he was shy when they first kissed, and she had to loosen him up with a glass of Chardonnay. But after their situationship ended, Michael had very few nice words to say about her. In fact, he apparently even said that she is not a nice person. person. Number 4, the photography book. Just over 30 years ago, Madonna came out with a photography book that was very scandalous for the time. The collection is filled with very explicit photos of her, and one was even a photo of her nude hitchhiking in Miami. When talking about the book, Madonna said, "We live in a very repressed society. The point I try to make is why should we feel ashamed of our sexuality?" Vanilla Ice, her then husband, would go on to disagree with that statement. The release of the book ultimately led to the breakup of the couple, with Vanilla Ice saying that he was hurt to be an unwitting part of the package. The singer faced immense backlash after its release, and even the Vatican urged people to boycott it. They called the book immorally intolerable. Many other bookstores would keep it behind the counter, only selling it to those people that are over 18. HMV Music Store even went on to set up a booth and allow people to browse the book for $1 a minute. To this day, it remains one of the biggest pop culture statements of Madonna's career, regardless if people are happy about it or not. Number 3, the Like a Prayer music video. Madonna's video caused an uproar when it was first released. It opens with her witnessing a crime involving a young female victim. Throughout the video, she is seen singing in front of burning crosses, and as you can probably tell, when Entertainment Tonight first saw the video, they knew that they were going to have to make some major edits. Unfortunately for Madonna, the video arrived at the studio much too late to make any major changes, so it was then set to run at the end credits. ET says, "We stayed away from the burning crosses and some of the other aspects that were going to create controversy. We played it safe that day." But the full video still made its way to MTV, which for anyone who had already seen it, they knew it was going to be a big story. Religious groups called for a boycott of the music video, with even Pope John Paul II speaking out against it. An Italian Roman Catholic historian said, "The video is blasphemy and an insult because it shows immorals inside a church." Even Pepsi had to drop it completely. With all the protests and complaints going on, they decided to cancel their deal with Madonna entirely. On the anniversary of the release of the song, the singer took to Instagram and wrote, "Happy birthday to me and controversy." Number 2, banned from MTV. Back at the height of her career, Madonna came out with another music video that really pushed the envelope. Her song Justify My Love is a slower song that is far different from any of her other works as a pop artist, but the music video was just too hot to handle for MTV at the time. When Madonna was working on her video for the song, she said that she wanted to take it to the next level in provocativeness. The director of the video said, "I didn't have any concept at all, except the idea that she was arriving in a hotel tired, broken, and when she was going to leave the hotel, she was full of life, she was full of energy, full of everything." In the end, the video features Madonna and her then boyfriend, as well as many other men and women in varying amounts of clothes. Without going into too much detail, it does get a bit graphic. This appeared to be just far too much for the producers over at MTV, who ended up banning the video, to which the singer responded by saying, "Why is it that people are willing to go and watch a movie about someone getting blown to bits for no reason at all, and nobody wants to see two girls kissing and two men snuggling?" And coming in at number 1, the rant on David Letterman. Back in the 90s, it seemed like things were a lot more unscripted than they are now. Maybe that's for the worse, but in some cases it can definitely be for the better. In 1994, Madonna made an appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman, where she ended up making history yet again. It was known as one of the most uncomfortable interviews the host has ever conducted. The pop star came out ready to shock the world, cigar in hand and filter completely gone. Now, David Letterman isn't easily fazed, but in 1994, Madonna managed to make him just the slightest bit uncomfortable. A minute into her appearance on The Late Show, and the host began teasing her about her sex life, saying, quote, "Kiss a guy in the audience," and she responded by calling him sick, before launching into a 20-minute long rant that was hardly PG. In fact, she said the F word a total of 14 times, and yes, there was even a moment when she told Letterman to smell her underwear. It wasn't until 1996 that she revealed why she behaved like that. Quote, "The way he introduced me was derogatory, so my whole thing was, okay, if that's how you want to play it, you cannot beat me at this game." Well, it's safe to say that she certainly did. Number 10, the hidden movie. Back in the 90s, Leonardo DiCaprio and Tobey Maguire made a movie with their friends. Then for decades, they tried to keep it from seeing the light of day, and there's a very good reason for that. The movie is called Don's Plum, and it's been banned from ever being shown in the US and Canada. It was shot over 6 days between July of 1995 and March of 1996, and it was all in black and white. The film tells the story of a group of 20-something guys who gather every Saturday night at an LA diner, and each time they bring with them a new girl. The storyline is rampant with misogyny and violence against women. At one point, Leo's character Derek threatens to throw a glass bottle at a woman and yells obscenities at her to scare her away. The trouble is that the dialogue is entirely improvised, which makes it seem like the vulgarity we hear in the movie is something that the actors regularly say. This is why Leo and Toby turned their backs on the project when it was completed, because they were concerned about how they were being portrayed. Both of them fought to keep the film from ever being screened, which eventually resulted in a $10 million lawsuit and the film being banned in the country.
At number 9, we have the Malaysian money scandal. Leonardo's very unusual foundation, not shockingly called the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation. He is known to throw huge star-studded events for his charity. His first event was held in Saint-Tropez in the summer of 2014. Predicted to be the event of the year, an email was sent out to convince people to come and support the gala. By attending and supporting the event, you will not only be a part of what will without a doubt be the most glamorous, talked about, exclusive events of the summer, but even more importantly, your support will go directly to saving the earth. Leonardo created this event to collect donations for global conservation efforts, to protect oceans, forests, wildlands, and endangered species. But would you have guessed that the same day in the US, a complaint was filed suggesting DiCaprio might be a player in the world's largest embezzlement cases? $3 million was siphoned from a Malaysian wealth fund. I definitely would never have thought. Never named but only called Hollywood Actor 1, it makes us want to deep dive a bit further into what this charity might actually be doing. Looks like the star didn't set up his charity as a non-for-profit, but as a donor-advised fund. A journalist from Inside Philanthropy says, "It's difficult to characterize the giving that DiCaprio Foundation is doing because its status is part of the CCF, the California Community Foundation. It makes it impossible to look at its finances." Leonardo in the end was very supportive of the government and in the aides to figure out how this happened, agreeing to pay back the money taken. Regardless, it still is pretty sketchy.
Number 8, the girlfriend graph. Several years ago, someone on Reddit created a graph that shows us all the ages of Leo's ex-girlfriends, and it has been circulating on social media ever since. The graph suggests that his oldest girlfriends have been 25 years old or younger, and the average age of them is 22.9 years old. The chart spans more than 20 years of his relationships, from 1999 to 2023, and it's recently got an update. Leo divided the internet once again when pictures emerged of him attending a party with his potential new girlfriend, 19-year-old Israeli model Eden Polani. They are not confirmed to be a couple, but if the two of them are really dating, this means that they would have a 29-year age gap, which is absolutely insane. If we take another look at the graph, we can see that most of his public relationships all took place when the women were in their early 20s, specifically between the ages of 20 and 24, including his famous relationship with Giselle Bunchen. Leo has also dated the model Bar Raffaelli until 2010, the year she turned 25, Kelly Roback in 2015, the year she turned 25, and Nina Agdal from 2016 to 2017, also the year that she celebrated her 25th birthday. So there's definitely a bit of a pattern there.
At number 7, we have Gigi Hadid. Let's talk about this strange and very quick relationship with model Gigi Hadid. Sparking dating rumors in August 2022, they seem to keep things pretty under wraps. The source was quoted telling In Touch at the time, "Leo and Gigi have hooked up a few times this summer. They have known each other for several years and they're super attracted to each other," also explaining how casual they were keeping it. Fans immediately were curious at this somewhat random and quick relationship the two had formed, also wondering if Leo would change his ways from under 25-year-olds to Gigi's 27, which we know has been definitely tough for the star. The two were spotted for a few months up until Leo had seemingly moved on. When asked about it, Gigi said it was purely because she couldn't keep up with Leo's on-the-go lifestyle. But it leaves us to wonder, was Gigi just a rebound for Leo's recent ex, Camila Monroe?
Number 6, the Sony hack. In 2014, the emails of former Sony chairperson Amy Pascal were leaked, and it really shone a bad light on a lot of A-list celebrities. And of course, Leo was also exposed in the scandal. The leak revealed that he isn't exactly popular among some studio executives. Apparently, filmmakers were desperate to cast him as Steve Jobs in the 2015 biopic, but the role ultimately went to Michael Fassbender. In fact, one email that was particularly cringy showed an agent called Robert Newman pleading with him to take the role. He wrote, "Just as you must surely feel great pride in helping bring Marty his Oscar on The Departed, everyone involved in this production desperately wants to help bring you the Academy Award you so richly deserve." He was basically pandering to his ego and trying to convince Leo that he would finally get his Oscar if he played Steve Jobs, but it was no use because he rejected his offer. When Amy Pascal heard that he didn't want to be in the biopic, she wrote a scathing email to producer Mark Gordon, where she called the actor despicable and accused him of horrible behavior. The hack also exposed personal information including salaries and home addresses of current employees, and those who stopped working at Sony as far back as 2000. Overall, the leak was a complete disaster.
Number 5. Let's talk about Adam Ferrar, Leonardo's estranged stepbrother on his dad's side. Adam performed in a couple minor roles in various movies and commercials, but it just didn't take off for him like it did for his brother. Leo said that the two were super close growing up, but lately they're not on speaking terms. This is most likely due to the fact that Adam has had multiple issues with the law. According to Adam, Leo ignores all of his calls and messages. He has also been told to say that he believes Leo's success has been the issue that has gotten between them. Many fans seem to speculate that this could not be the case, and Leo has distanced himself from his brother because of his ongoing struggles with narcotics and other criminal activities. Others say that Leo does not want to give money to his brother, who seems to struggle with handling it. Regardless, Adam has been said to look to rekindle their relationship, to start new, but it appears Leo has zero interest anymore.
Number 4. Private jet use. Although Leo is considered one of the most outspoken environmentalists when it comes to fighting climate change, his behavior tells a different story. According to Forbes, the actor is an avid user of private jets, and he's responsible for a ton of the carbon emissions that he spoke about in his 2016 Oscars speech. Forbes exposed him big time and said that the notion that his carbon emissions are 11 tons per year is nonsense, because a carbon footprint is a lot higher for people who use private jets. In fact, celebrities who travel like this typically emit 480 times more CO2 than those who don't use jets. His past fuel-powered travels included 6 round trips on private jets over the course of just 6 weeks in 2014. Sony Pictures Studios arranged for him to take a private jet from California to New York during the period between April and May of that year. The report found that in that same year, he traveled more than 20 times across the US and the globe. And once, within the span of a day, he took a round-trip private flight from Miami to New York for a charity event. Not only that, but he owns multiple homes and has partied on the 5th largest yacht in the world.
Number 3. His arrogant attitude. The late 90s and early 2000s really were something for Leonardo, who was then in his 20s. He has been known to have a large and pretty aggressive party and kind of childlike attitude, reportedly throwing grapes from his hotel room on paparazzi photographers, as well as throwing trash at oncoming cars on the Brooklyn Promenade. Maybe it's just me, but I don't know anyone in their 20s that acts like that. The Guardian also reports that Leo once even threw horse manure at a paparazzi in the 2000s. This would have been his mid-20s. People have repeatedly said that New York itself was just Leo's playground. Another incident of Leo just not being the person we all hoped he was gonna be. In the early 2000s, both Leo and his friend Jay Ferguson bombarded Elizabeth Berkley from Saved by the Bell, so much that she would have to call her boyfriend at the time just to get the two to back off. This is obviously not what we want to hear from the star everyone once loved in the Titanic. Even when the parade noticed what a small role woman had in the movie he starred in, The Reverend, he responded with, "This represents the savagery of a lawless culture. Women have been the most persecuted people throughout the recorded history, more than any race or religion," which is a little bit ironic.
Number 2 supports controversial people. When Weinstein was exposed for his crimes, Leo was quick to condemn the disgraced producer and stand up for his victim. But eventually, it was revealed that his charity foundation auctioned off events with him, as well as with Kevin Spacey, who is currently facing the prospect of jail time in the UK for alleged cases of SA. In 2018, Page 6 released a report claiming that Leo's foundation auctioned off intimate moments with 2 of Hollywood's biggest creeps. In 2015, the auction in the south of France let guests bid to spend an entire year hanging out with Weinstein. The experience offered the winner the chance to go to dinner with him, accompany him to the Met Gala, and join him on a film set. And in 2016, the charity offered to have Kevin Spacey conduct a private theater performance in someone's home, which in hindsight sounds a little bit weird. Now, it's worth noting that these packages came out way before these men were exposed for their predatory ways. But then again, you also have to consider the fact that these allegations were something of an open secret in Hollywood for years, and still no one cut ties with them until people started speaking out.
And at number 1, we have his fake environmentalism. Leonardo has been involved in many charities and organizations which are aimed at protecting our environment, some even being the World Wildlife Fund and the Global Green USA. He has had some run-ins discussions with other environmentalists who have been concerned about his sincerity about protecting our planet. Leo took to Twitter to bash Brazil's environmental minister, saying his government has taken the destruction of the Amazon to an unbearable level, with the minister responding, "Brazil is launching Adopt One Park Preservation Project, which allows you or any other company or individual to pick one of the 132 parks in the Amazon and directly sponsor it for €10 per hectare per year. Are you going to put your money where your mouth is?" Leading to no response on Twitter from the actor, many call the actor a complete environmental hypocrite with the way he acts versus what he actually proceeds to do in his day-to-day life. I mean, you have to admit, it's a bit tough to preach environmentalism from a private yacht.
Number 10. Mom shaming. In an episode aired earlier this month, 25-year-old Sarah Beth Libbs tried out for the singing competition American Idol. The group of judges were shocked upon hearing that Sarah was 25 years old, insisting that she could pass for 16 years old. When Sarah revealed that she's the mother of 3 children, Katie jokingly rose from her chair and acted like she was about to fall back on the table. "If Katie lays on the table, I think I'm gonna pass out," Sarah said. "Honey, you've been laying on that table too much," Katie responded with. The comment received backlash on social media from those who believed Katie was mom-shaming Sarah. Then Sarah posted on her TikTok account saying people have been asking how she felt about the joke, that wasn't super kind, and she felt that the incident was embarrassing and hurtful. She said, "I did want to take this opportunity to just say I think that women supporting and uplifting other women is so cool, and I think that mom shaming is super lame, and I think it's hard enough to be a mom, and it's hard enough to be a woman. I also wanted to take this opportunity to say I see all of the young moms, and just moms in general, keep loving your babies. Nobody deserves to feel crappy about that. I think that if you're a good mama and you love your babies, that's all that matters. Other comments don't feel necessary." Now this wasn't all though, as throughout the audition, Katie called Sarah Freaky Friday and a comic book character come to life. Katie also accused her of not really wanting this and it not being her dream, all while constantly interrupting her performance. And then when she reluctantly gave a yes, she called her an accidental American Idol and to hurry up before the dream goes away. Now that is just plain rude. Number 9. Wearing a controversial dress. The Met Gala is a huge deal and stars go all out for it, rightfully so, but Katie made a poor decision in her outfit choice in 2017. At that year's Met Gala, Katie wore a John Gallion gown. Now, she not only made headlines for how out of the box it was, but also because the designer, Galliano, was previously fired for going on an anti-Semitic rant in 2011. The public who knew this information wasn't happy that the pop star decided to work with him anyways. She should have researched who she was working with, because wearing something from someone who was not only anti-Semitic but fired for it is not a good look. Hopefully from now on she'll look into who she collaborates with, but it's just unfortunate because there are so many amazing unproblematic designers out there. Number 8. Accused of disturbing wildlife. In 2018, Katie and Russell Brand got married in India. According to Glamour, they were accused of extreme noise violations and disturbing the wildlife. In spite of wildlife laws being violated by the hotel administration, Katy Perry, Russell Brand, and their guests, the district administration, and forest department did not take any action against them, says Akshay Sharma, the founder of the national park that was closed to the ceremony. They were also accused of using a helicopter that was booked for airlifting a hospital patient to get their flight from the nearby city of Jaipur to the Maldives. Yikes. Number 7. Diss Britney Spears. In 2018, Katy said she had no plans to return to the studio for another album and admitted, "I feel like I've done a lot. I feel like I've rung the bell of being a pop star very loudly, and I'm very grateful for that. I've been on the road for like 10 years, so I'm just going to chill." When she was on E! Live from the red carpet, she talked about her break from music. She said, "It's called taking care of your mental health. I haven't shaved my head yet," she joked. Now, a lot of Britney Spears fans didn't take kindly to the singer referring to Britney's mental breakdown, during which time she famously shaved her head and attacked the paparazzi. This actually led to hashtag Katy Perry is over party to trend on Twitter because people were so upset with the singer. Now, regardless if it was a direct Britney diss, it was super insensitive to people who struggle with mental health issues. Number 6. Feud with Taylor Swift. Katy and Taylor Swift were once on good terms, but that stopped when they they began feuding over backup dancers. 3 dancers left Taylor's Red album tour early to work on Katie's Prism tour. Katie pretty much solicited them and pretty much screwed Taylor. This led to Taylor to speak cryptically about Katie, saying she did something so horrible. I was like, oh, we're straight up enemies, and it wasn't even about a guy. It had to do with business, she said in an interview. Now, she never named names, but it wasn't hard to figure out given Katie tweeted not long afterward, "Watch out for the Regina George and sheep's clothing." Now, this prompted Taylor to write her song Bad Blood about Katie, and when Katie was asked about this, she said, well, it's not my question to answer, and added, one thing to note is, you can't mistake kindness for weakness, and don't come for me, anyone, 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 anyone. Number 5. Racism. Yes, Katie has been accused of being racist multiple times. Producer Mano, or $1 Million Mano, tweeted in 2013 that the pop star would regularly use the N-word and even refer to him while using it. He explained in further tweets that this happened in a club in Paris and that he was offended. He said she started calling him and his cousin the slur and they asked her to stop. He also claimed that she didn't understand why they found it offensive. Also, during the Black Lives Matter movement, she tweeted "All lives matter," so there's that. Number 4. Cultural appropriation. Multiple times, Katie has engaged in cultural appropriation. In the video for her song Dark Horse, she is immersed in Egypt, and in the process, she turns an entire cultural and ethnic identity into a costume. The problem here lies in the fact that Katie thinks it's acceptable to use another country or ethnic group's culture as a costume or as a prop, and she's done this many times. Another incident includes when Katie performed her song Unconditionally at the 2013 American Music Awards. Her singing was great, but the performance caused some backlash given she decided to dress like a geisha for it, which was just a strange choice. Now, many accused her of cultural appropriation for wearing that as a costume and simply wearing it for aesthetic purposes. And she was also accused of cultural appropriation when her music video This Is How We Do was released, as she was wearing cornrows. Seems like she loves to pick and choose what to take from every culture. Number 3. Mistreatment. A model who starred in Katie's 2010 music video for her song Teenage Dream has accused the singer of misconduct. In an Instagram post, Josh Kloss accused Katie of exposing him at a roller skating rink. It was a birthday party at Moonlight Roller Way, and when I saw her, we hugged, and she was still my crush, he wrote about the interaction. But as I turned to introduce my friend, she pulled my Adidas sweats and underwear out as far as she could to show a couple of her guy friends and the crowd around us, which left him extremely embarrassed and taken advantage of. The model also detailed his work history with Katie, remembering an experience on the set of a music video where the singer described kissing him as gross. He also said that Katie's representatives prevented him from speaking about his experience working with the singer. I was supposed to minimize myself and stay PC to protect her image. I listened and was a good boy. The fear sticks with you when you are censored to protect someone else's image, he wrote. Number 2. LGBT controversy. The singer became a star with her hit I Kissed a Girl, but not everyone was a fan of its message. Some people in the LGBTQ community claim that the song was homophobic because it was seemingly about a straight girl acting gay and perpetrating stereotypes. You can see this just from the lyrics, I kissed a girl just to try it, I hope my boyfriend don't mind it, it felt so wrong, it felt so right. It's not what good girls do, not how they should behave. Now, these lyrics don't hold up today, and they weren't that appropriate back then either. Feminist and gossip frontwoman Beth Ditto said that the song was an anthem for straight girls who like to turn guys on by making out or like faking gay, adding that Katie was just riding on the backs of our culture without having to pay any of the dues and not being actually lesbian or anything at all, which I have to agree with. She also has another song called You're So Gay. From the title alone, it's problematic, but this song is just plain homophobic and rude. It's Katie being upset that her ex does things that stereotypical gay men would do, and she calls her ex gay even though he's straight. She's using gay as an insult, and it's just not cool. And coming in at number 1 is the American Idol kiss. Benjamin Glaze went on the singing competition American Idol, and before performing he was asked, have you kissed a girl and liked it? By Luke Bryan, referencing Katie's 2008 song I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It. He responded, no, I've never been in a relationship, I can't kiss a girl without being in a relationship. Katie then said, really? Come here, and gestured him towards her. He hesitantly walked over to Katie and she said she wanted a kiss on the cheek. When he went to kiss her, Katie quickly turned his head and kissed him on the lips. He was visibly shocked and smiled, falling to the floor. Now the judges celebrated and high-fived one another, and Luke asked Katie, "Did you get him?" "Yeah, I got him," she replied. After this was aired, Benjamin spoke to the media and said that he found the kiss uncomfortable. He never consented to the kiss from Katie and said he would have refused had the famous singer asked permission in the first place. "I wanted to save it for my first relationship," he said. Now many people were upset over this as it was non-consensual. One Twitter user tweeted, "Imagine if a 33-year-old male artist tricked a 19-year-old female auditioner into a kiss like Katy Perry just did with that teenage guy. Would we all think it was cute?" It's also sad that she took that moment away from him as he was saving it for something special, and she ruined it and made it a negative.
Number 10, bad at comedy. A wise person on Twitter said, "James Corden might be a lot of things, but I draw the line at him being labeled a comedian. Aside from the fact that he's just straight up not funny, he seems to have an awful habit of failing to read the room and noticing when his poor jokes fall flat." Fans remember when he completely bombed at an AIDS research benefit gig in LA in 2017. In an effort to appear edgy, he brought up the Weinstein scandal that had just come out that very same week. In videos of the event, James said that it was a beautiful night in LA. So beautiful, Harvey has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him a massage. He ignores the loud groans from the audience and then says, "It has been weird this week, hasn't it? Watching Harvey in hot water. Ask any of the women who watched him take a bath." The backlash against him was huge, and rightfully so. If you're going to make offensive jokes, you have to at least be funny. Number 9, ruining movies. James Corden's acting career started out well enough, but things went downhill fast as his fame grew. It's well known that he pretty much accepts every work offer that comes his way without much consideration, resulting in multiple flops. These included some truly awful movies like Cinderella, Lesbian Vampire Slayers, and The Emoji Movie. He also came under fire for exploiting gay stereotypes with his character in The Prom. But his most cringeworthy performance ever was in the movie Cats, where he played a creepy humanoid cat called Buster Jones. The CGI human cats were literally sickening to look at and have been the subject of my nightmares for too long. The movie was a critically savaged box office disaster. Despite James saying that he didn't regret his involvement, he later admitted that he would never ever watch the film himself. In fact, people are so sick of seeing him on the big screen and ruining every musical he touches that there is now a viral petition to keep James Corden out of the new Wicked movie. So far, it has more than 100,000 signatures. Number 8, rude to waiters. On Monday, the owner of a high-end New York City restaurant called Balthazar made a viral Instagram post blasting James Corden for his horrible behavior towards staff. He called him a tiny cretin of a man and the worst customer to his servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago. He claimed that in one instance, James demanded 2 free rounds of drinks for him and his friends after he presented a hair that was found on his food and said, "Get us another round of drinks this second. And also take care of all our drinks so far. This way I won't write any nasty reviews on Yelp." On another occasion, he is said to have flipped out when an egg yolk omelette his wife ordered was found to have very little egg white in it. He allegedly went ballistic and started tearing into the waiter, saying, "Maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelette myself." According to the owner, James was so awful that he felt compelled to out him publicly and ban him from the restaurant, something that is very rarely done in high-end establishments. Number 7, fight with Patrick Stewart. A clip from the 2010 Glamour Awards resurfaced recently where Patrick Stewart obliterates James Corden on stage, and it's the definition of public humiliation. They were presenting an award together when Stewart suddenly decided to call him out for his disinterested attitude towards the ceremony. He said, "When the presenters are up here and when the recipients are receiving their awards, don't stand at the back of the stage with your hands in your pockets looking around as though you wished you were anywhere but here." Corden was super caught off guard at first, and so was everyone else in the audience. He was obviously embarrassed and shot back with, "If I looked like that, I'm sorry, but when you come up and present an award, just effing get on with it." Both of them should have moved on from there, but it somehow got even cringier when Stewart decided to make fun of Corden's weight. He said, "From where I was sitting, I can see your belly," and that was over at the back of the room. But continued back and forth for a few minutes, but it was so uncomfortable to watch, it felt more like hours. Loving this video so far? Please hit that like button, it would really help us out. Number 6, exposed on Reddit. In 2019, James wanted to surprise fans by making an appearance on Reddit's infamous Ask Me Anything thread to promote a special edition of the show. But the plan massively backfired when users started flooding the thread talking about the horrible experiences they've had meeting him in real life. In the end, James was only able to answer 3 questions before he dipped. Probably because the truth was coming out about him and he was getting brutally roasted. One viral post said, "Hey James, you won't remember me, but me and my friends sat at at a table next to you and Harry Styles, and some others in Manchurian Legends in London's Chinatown about 6 years ago. We didn't bother you, but you were a massively entitled C-word who yelled and treated the waitstaff like crap, and when one of my party politely suggested that you calm down, you got really aggressive and threatening. So my question is, why did Harry seem so cool while you were a massive throbbing bellend? Number 5, flight incident. This one absolutely boils my blood. We're going to talk about the infamous Reddit post that horrified the internet. Half an hour into a New York to London flight, passengers in business class noticed a woman with a crying baby being brought through the curtains by a flight attendant. They looked on in mild horror as they saw the attendant direct her into an empty seat next to James Corden. They were expecting him to throw a fit, but instead he simply put on a pair of noise-cancelling headphones, pulled an eye mask over his eyes, and turned away from her to sleep. Pretty decent of him, right? When the plane landed, passengers were surprised to see him remain seated as the woman with the baby struggled to open the overhead locker, and even more surprised when she turned to him and said, "For F's sake, can you at least hold the baby while I get the bags?" The woman was his wife. The baby was his baby. That's the father of the year right there. Number 4, fake persona. While Corden's public image is of a lovable Brit, his behavior in private has been described by some as less than desirable, and that is an understatement. For many people, the nice guy public persona has worn thin, and there are too many cases where the mask has slipped, revealing a more arrogant and spiteful side to him. Corden increasingly gained a reputation, all for behaving badly towards the people who work for him and with him. One allegation by comedian and podcaster Jack Allison was that he attended a Writers Guild Association meeting specifically to advocate for lowering the pay of his late night writers. How disgusting is that? He was also allegedly extremely rude to production assistants and staff while filming the UK game show A League of Their Own. To sum it all up, the editor-in-chief of Hard Drive magazine, Jeremy Kalpowitz, tweeted, "James Corden is the most worked with the robots to betray the humans and get put back into the Matrix as a famous actor person who has ever existed." Number 3, pretend driving. Carpool karaoke was one of the most popular segments on The Late Show, but on the 2nd of January in 2020, fans spotted Corden filming a new episode with Justin Bieber and shared the video to Twitter. Rather than being on the road, the black SUV was being towed by a tow truck, and Corden was pretending to drive it. The viral video led to mass outrage on social media, with many people criticizing the host for being deceptive and labeling him as an outright phony. He really had no choice but to address the scandal and said, "Fake news, I always drive the car, unless we're doing something where we think it might not be safe." He did admit that the car had been towed on rare occasions, but maintained that 95% of the time he was driving it. The thing is that a lot of people tuned into his show only for carpool karaoke, so the fact that it was staged made the episodes feel artificial and took a lot of the fun out of it. Number 2, doesn't know his own crew. Amidst the growing controversy, other videos exposing James Corden have resurfaced online, and one shows the awkward moment when he was asked to name members of his own TV crew, and he couldn't do it. In the video from 2016, Jimmy Kimmel appeared on The Late Show for a game called Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts, a truth or dare game that gives guests the option of eating disgusting foods or answering personal questions. He then tells James, "Name 2 of the cameramen in this room." He started laughing because it was obvious that he didn't know. Then he just said, "That is a great question. It's a different crew tonight actually." In the end, he had to drink a fish smoothie because he couldn't name the crew members. Then, if you think that was a coincidence, 1 year later, during a Q&A segment with his audience, one crowd member asked him to name a cameraman and he failed once again. I mean, this is far from the worst thing that he's ever done, but it does go to show you that he doesn't really care about the people that work underneath him. And coming in at number 1, universally disliked. If you want to know how the majority of people really feel about James Corden, just spend 5 minutes on Twitter. When Ryanair announced on Twitter that they had also banned James from flying with them, the reactions were hilarious. So many memes flooded the platform of people claiming that he had been banned from other random places like the Glee Club or Fortnite. A meme even went viral of Dakota Johnson looking excited, with the caption, "Watching the long-awaited downfall of James Corden." One user wrote, "I don't need James Corden banned from Balthazar, I need him banned from movie musicals." Someone else tweeted, "A reminder that James Corden is an utter prick, an unfunny bellend of a man. There's a reason he's hated in the UK. Here he is being a wanker to Patrick Stewart, who called him out for being unprofessional." Former TMZ journalist Morgan Tremaine said that James Corden is a prime example of fame obliterating someone's sense of basic decency towards other people. Someone even called him the late-night version of Ellen, so it's a wonder that he has any fans left at all.
Number 10, seizing control. As part of a countersuit regarding the dispute surrounding the sale of the winery shares, Angelina Jolie's former company Novell has claimed that Brad Pitt wanted only to control the winery estate, Chateau Miraval, and that is why he is upset about the selling of the shares. In actuality, they claim he only wanted to control the joint financial venture and for years has been pushing them out and wasting assets on lavish projects that they deem completely unnecessary and unrelated to the winery's success, including a swimming pool and a recording studio, which I gotta say, doesn't seem super relevant to making wine, but you know. And friends, before I move on to this next spot, if you find this whole feud that's been going on for years between Brad and Angelina to be pretty crazy, let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. I think it's pretty crazy. Pretty sad, really. Number 9. Juliette Lewis. While this relationship has been lovingly reminisced on by both Juliette Lewis and Brad Pitt, the fact remains that it's kind of an odd one, even for the time period. The two ended up meeting on the set of California, with both of them being considered young, hopeful talents of Hollywood at the time. They dated for 4 years and seemed to have a great and beautiful romance, and just as Brad Pitt was actually getting ready to blow up, basically. But there was something a little odd about this relationship. When they started seeing each other, there was a 10-year gap between them. Now, this might not seem super strange, considering there have been, bigger age gaps in celebrity couples and in regular couples, and for some, that still seems pretty normal. But the real weird part of it was that they were at two very different sort of points in their life, with Brad being 27 or turning 27 and Juliette only being 17. Yeah, so she was still in high school, which I mean, I guess they could still connect over work, both being performers, but other than that, their life experiences would have been probably pretty different at that point. Some people still find this to be an odd relationship today, especially considering it managed to go strong for 4 years. However, both of them still remember it pretty fondly, although they no longer talk, which I think is pretty weird, but I guess it was a long time ago. Number 8. The divorce. I think one of the biggest red flags that people tend to overlook in cases like this is when things drag on. It's never a good sign, and it can usually mean that there are bigger issues that are kind of being danced around but not really unearthed or talked about. People who are able to put the past behind them and just move forward generally have nothing to dance around. That's why it's, so easy for them to just move forward with their lives. They have let go and they don't hold things against their former partner. But with Brad and Angelina, both of them seem to be struggling to let go and are still stuck in disagreements with each other even to this day, which could be an indicator that there is a bigger reason as to why they split, other than just deciding to go their own way. And that's what we're beginning to see really delved into now, as Jolie seems to realize that she maybe has to lay it all out or she'll never really be free. That she has to dive into some traumatic moments that she perhaps would have rather been kept a little bit more private and less publicized. There's also the fact that it took them 3 years to get themselves legally declared as single. Just declared as single, which is a long time. A standard divorce, by the way, takes between 4 to 6 months to get finalized, although obviously when there's custody battles and stuff involved, it can take longer. But it's still been a long time, even considering that. Number 7. Addiction. After the split between Brad and Angelina, Pitt cited personal problems as one of the issues for sort of the arguments that led to their divorce. In response, he decided it was time to do something about these problems and admitted himself to AA. This might not be a red flag in the sense that obviously going to AA is a good thing if you have a problem all in all, but it is a red flag that he did so right after the divorce, implying that his misuse had gotten to the point that it was dramatically affecting his life, with the divorce and whatever happened to trigger it kind of acting as a wake-up call for him, which kind of could be an indicator that there's something worse there. At least there was in the past, Number 6. NDA. In the current legal battle between Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, the two are now feuding over the winery that they once shared and what Angelina decided to do with said shares. Initially, the two had an agreement that they would get clearance before selling, but when Jolie sold her shares behind Pitt's back, he protested. It was reported that Jolie wanted out of the joint business ventures and that Pitt was willing to buy the shares, but then their deal fell through. And this was apparently after months of them negotiating. Well, Pitt claims this was so that Jolie could purposefully harm him after he was awarded shared custody of their 6 children. Jolie claims their deal actually fell through because Pitt wanted her to sign an NDA as part of the sale to him. Jolie was unwilling to sign that NDA as she felt this would limit her capacity to speak the truth of why their marriage dissolved and problems surrounding it. She obviously just didn't want to be silenced, if that is the case. While the two have differing stories as to why this deal fell apart, if Jolie is speaking true, why did Brad want to keep her quiet? And what were the terms of the NDA covering? Also, if it was a relationship, how does that relate to selling the winery? That doesn't seem like it should be included at all. Number 5. Harvey Weinstein. Although some say that Brad Pitt was one of the few who stood up to this unfortunately wasn't always the case. When it comes to his relationship with the notorious producer, many tell of the 1995 story where Pitt stood up to him to protect his then girlfriend Gwyneth Paltrow, who confessed that Weinstein had severely mistreated her, which to be honest is an understatement. However, what those people seem to be missing or not focusing on is the fact that after this incident, although Pitt did stand up to him, he also later worked with him. What? The 2009 film Inglourious Basterds, which Pitt starred in, was both distributed by and co-financed by the Weinstein Company. Angelina Jolie claims that Brad Pitt also approached the producer to work on his 2012 film Killing Them Softly, whose company ended up as the distributor for that film, which really hurt her because she also had a bad experience with him too. So, like, what? Also pretty messed up, I feel like, if you do that when, you know, your wife is like, please don't work with this person. Number 4, she said. So Brad Pitt is complicated when it comes to his history with Harvey Weinstein. He privately spoke out against him years ago in the 90s when he, actively threatened the man when he put his hands on Paltrow, but then he was willing to work with him in 2009 and the 2010s. In 2019, he spoke out against the man, however, disavowing him and sharing the story of his experience defending Paltrow in the 90s. He also went on to executive produce the film She Said. Some people though deem this to be quite controversial, considering that Brad Pitt also seemed to be willing to work with him only a few years ago, which seems hypocritical. Is it all a show, or does Brad Pitt genuinely condemn this man? She Said is a film that follows the New York Times investigation of Weinstein and is also being produced by Pitt's production company, Plan B Entertainment. Number 3, allegations. Recently, things have escalated quite a bit in the legal cases between Brad and Angelina, with Angelina even bringing up a previous incident that seems to be the inciting one in terms of their divorce. She alleges that Brad severely mistreated her and their children while on a flight, and based on the account given, that's truly an understatement here. It's said that Brad Pitt was under the influence and verbally attacked Angelina before turning on the kids when they came to their mother's defense, even getting physical. She also has attested that she and the kids are willing to provide evidence of this in court, and she's even willing to testify. Number 2, the kids don't want to see him. While Brad Pitt reportedly does see his younger kids but prefers to do so unphotographed, which honestly makes sense. I mean, who wants paparazzi around at all really to photograph anything other than maybe like a movie premiere? That's the only time, I think. It's also reported that he perhaps hasn't seen his older kids in years. In fact, according to a source for US Weekly, Pitt does not have any kind of relationship with his eldest son, Maddox, and doesn't talk to Pax either. In fact, it seems that the inciting incident on the airplane in 2016 is likely where the breakdown of the relationship between son Maddox and father Brad began. The source is saying ever since then, it's been really rough between them. However, according to a source for People, Pitt does still see and maintain a good relationship with his younger children, having nightly dinners with them whenever they are in LA. But it's interesting that his older kids seem to not want to see him, especially as, they're older, so they kind of have more, I guess, more agency in making that choice. Number 1, testimony. Maddox doesn't only not have a good relationship with his father, but reportedly also testified against him during the custody battle. Although we don't know exactly what was said, an exclusive source told US Weekly, Maddox has already given testimony as an adult in the ongoing custody dispute, and it wasn't very flattering towards Brad. It's also been said that the distance is so great that Maddox even wants to legally change his name. The source added he doesn't use Pitt as his last name on documents that aren't legal, and instead uses Jolie. Maddox wants to legally change his last name to Jolie, which Angelina has said she doesn't support.
Number 10, rude to a restaurant hostess. Being a waitress at a fancy restaurant will sometimes give you the chance to meet celebrities when you're working. TikTok user Julia Carolan was working at a fancy restaurant in Manhattan, and she documented her bad experience with Hailey Bieber. In a video, she said, "This is going to be controversial, but I've met her a handful of times, and each time she was not nice. I really wanted to like her, but I have to give her a 3.5 out of 10. Sorry." When the video went viral, Hailey eventually saw it and quickly took to the comment section of the video, and she tried to apologize for how she acted. She said, "Just came across this video, and I'm so sorry if I've ever given you bad vibes or a bad attitude. That was never my intention." She also added that she would like to apologize to Julia in person and thanked her for calling her out. Thankfully, Hailey had the grace to apologize to Julia, but it's likely that she wouldn't have even considered her behavior rude if she didn't get called out for it and the video didn't go viral. The truth is, you can really make out someone's character just by how they treat those working in the service industry, like James Corden found out back in October. So apology or not, this kind of behavior is never okay, but it's good that more and more celebrities are being called out for it these days. Number 9, racist tweets. Just a few days after she called Twitter a breeding ground for cruelty towards each other, Hailey Bieber got slammed again by Twitter users who had discovered and shared some of the model's old Twitter and Tumblr posts as supposed evidence of her racism and bigotry. It all started when she came to Justin Bieber's defense, after he revealed that he had been diagnosed with Lyme disease, and some of his fans said that he wouldn't have gotten it if he had been with Selena Gomez, which is ridiculous of course, but Hailey's response just caused the trolls to turn their attention on her. These fans then decided to dig up some old dirt about her and succeeded at doing so. They posted screenshots of tweets and Tumblr posts dating back years that showed examples of Hailey using the N-word casually, claiming she came back from Florida a different race, and using language associated with racism against the Asian community. In a tweet from January 2012, she wrote, "Shut up before I smack you back to your own country." And then in November of 2013, she wrote, "To those foreigners who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so sorry your country didn't have pilgrims and Indians to start such a sick holiday." Yeah, that was pretty indefensible. Shortly after, most tweets mentioning her past were deleted, and Hailey then decided to close her Twitter account altogether. Celebrities often forget that you can literally find everything on the internet these days, and obviously Hailey's past eventually came back to haunt her. Number 8. The Nepo Baby shirt. If you've been on the internet recently, you'll have noticed that the dreaded Nepo Baby label is becoming just as popular as the term industry plant. But the Nepo Baby label specifically refers to someone who receives privileges due to their relatives or friends being powerful. Usually it means that someone is able to get jobs because of who they know, and most of the time it's famous parents. Amidst the growing criticism surrounding the Nepo Baby discourse and the fact that she refuses to acknowledge her privilege in this aspect, Hailey bravely decided to wear a Nepo Baby t-shirt, which to many people made it seem like she was proud to be given countless opportunities over everyone else just because of her last name. As expected, this only turned more people against her. Louis Pisano, a writer for Harper's Bazaar, then tweeted out the photo with the caption, "The Hailey Bieber Nepo Baby t-shirt picture gives nothing because she gives nothing. She's not personable enough to give this staged paparazzi shot for a viral moment any personality. She doesn't act or sing. She gets in and out of cars in beige and black YSL and has a skincare line." That tweet went viral, and the crazy thing is that a lot of people seem to agree. Singer Charlie XCX then chimed in and wrote, "I respect the Nepo Baby t-shirt attempt," but the keyword there is obviously attempt. Number 7. Cultural appropriation. Hailey Bieber faced a ton of criticism after she made a TikTok video all about brownie glazed lips, where she wears brown lip liner with a clear glossy lip gloss over the top. That was coincidentally from her own beauty brand called Rhode. So what is the problem with this kind of makeup, and why was it making people angry? Well, Hailey was called out for appropriating a makeup technique that's historically been worn by Latinas and black and brown women since the 90s. Not only that, but she tried to rename the look as brownie glazed lips, so for a lot of people that was the last straw. Naturally, her video led to an influx of primarily white influencers recreating the look on the platform and crediting her as their inspiration. As the trend took off, it became clear that this was yet another case of a white celebrity claiming to have started a beauty technique that has long been practiced by women of color. The controversy reached a boiling point when the topic began to trend on Twitter, and this is because the incident is hardly new. In fact, it's part of a larger conversation concerning cultural appropriation, specifically in beauty practices, especially when it comes to so-called trends that are popularized on platforms like TikTok and touted by influencers and celebrities. This one was a bit of a gray area considering that Hailey never specifically claimed to have invented the look, so the only real issue is that she didn't credit the origin of the makeup look. Number 6. Snubbing a fellow influencer. In June last year, Hailey was called out by an influencer who just happened to be a guest at her Rhode launch party. Beauty vlogger Iris Balin attended the launch party for Hailey's skincare brand, and she said that she had a terrible experience. She posted an Instagram video explaining what went down, and apparently the whole atmosphere of the event was off. She said the event was beautiful, like it was literally a nightclub kind of thing, but the girl gets there with her friends Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, all of her friends are there, but they have this corner that only they could be in. So basically, Hailey stayed in the VIP section at her own launch party. Iris said that she wanted to take a picture with her and was excited to hear about her brand, but Hailey refused to talk to her or even come near her. The idea is that when you're in a room full of influential beauty icons and content creators, you need to get those people on board with your new product. Iris said, "This girl didn't say anything, and it was the most awkward thing because there were people hovering to take pictures with her, to talk to her. This is your event, show up for your event, or have your rep people say something." But yeah, no, Hailey didn't say anything or want to talk about anything. Apparently, it was Kylie Jenner that eventually said a few words about the skincare line, but no one heard from the founder all night. Number 5. Allegations of cheating. Hailey and Justin, who recently celebrated 4 years of marriage, marriage, got together after Justin and Selena had broken up their relationship. But some people have always wondered if that was the whole real story. Interestingly enough, while she was on the Call Her Daddy podcast, Hailey actually suggested that Selena and Justin weren't as serious as everyone thought at the time. When she reconciled with Justin in June of 2018, Hailey insisted that he and Selena were not in a relationship. She spoke about their brief reunion and claimed that by that point it was just closure for them. She said, "As a woman, I would never want to get into a relationship with someone and be engaged to them and be getting married to them and be thinking in the back of my mind, I wonder if that door was really closed. I know for a fact that the reason we were able to get back together was because it was very much completely closed." She went on to say, "It was the right thing for them to close that door. It closed a chapter. I think it was the best thing that could have happened for him to move on." She said that a lot of the hate she gets comes from the perception that she stole Justin. But Hailey insisted that the only people that really know the truth of the situation and what the timeline was actually them. To this day though, the exact timeline is still debated, considering that many fans think Selena and Justin were actually in a relationship when they got back together in 2018. But of course, only they really know the truth. Number 4, tone-deaf comments. A lot of the backlash against Hailey came when she invited Gwyneth Paltrow on an episode of her YouTube show Who's in My Bathroom, and the two of them discussed the label of nepotism, given that they both come from famous families. If you didn't know, Hailey is linked to Stephen Baldwin, William Baldwin, and Alec Baldwin, so she was born into a family of stars, and it has undeniably fast-tracked her success. Some have also argued that her marriage to Justin Bieber is also what catapulted her into the mega fame that she has now. This is mostly because Hailey tends to fall under the category of celebrities that are famous just for being famous, and is more or less considered a Hollywood socialite than anything else. When Gwyneth Paltrow appeared on the show, she spoke about being the child of famous parents and claimed that she's had to work twice as hard as someone without her connections, because apparently people are always ready to pull her down and say, "You are only there because of your dad or your mum." Hailey of course agreed with her statements that she has it harder than regular people in the industry. These comments came off as extremely tone deaf, and it really set the internet against her. Many fans have since called her out for essentially refusing to acknowledge how she got where she is today. Number 3, ignoring Addison Rae. In May of 2021, Hailey found herself in hot water when people accused her of being rude and ignoring Addison Rae, who was her guest on Hailey's YouTube series Who's in My Bathroom. The two stars made sandwiches and sundaes while talking about their lives. At one point, Hailey asked Addison how she deals with privacy as a social media star, especially when it comes to her romantic relationships. But when Addison responded and started explaining that she has learned over the years how to keep her love life private, Hailey seems to focus on her food more than anything else. Even though the topics were pretty dark, fans noticed that Hailey would stick out her tongue while pouring sauce over ice cream and sprayed whipped cream into her mouth. Essentially, some people felt that she was rude for not paying attention to her guest on her own show. When the criticism amped up, Hailey then explained that her show is meant to be lighthearted, and that was a feeling that she wanted to convey. She said, "I just didn't want it to get too intense and too deep. I never want someone to come on Who's in My Bathroom and feel like I'm trying to pry information out of them or get them to talk about a subject that could potentially be sensitive or uncomfortable for them, just for the sake of views." Which, I mean, is completely fine, given that it's just the way that she wants to present her own show. Number 2, Justin Bieber's antics. After a video of the singer yelling at Hailey went viral, fans have wondered what was said and what the real story was between the husband and wife. In July of 2021, the couple were in Las Vegas to celebrate Kendall Jenner's new tequila brand 818 Tequila. After the night, a TikTok user by the name of Yanjeric23 posted a video of Justin and Hailey leaving the club with fans and bodyguards around them. In the video, you could see that they were holding hands as he yelled at her while they walked down the halls of the hotel. The clip went viral on TikTok with more than 1.2 million views, and it drew concern from fans everywhere. Before it was deleted, many users took to the comments to slam Justin for how he treated Hailey, although some fans came to his defense and said that he wasn't yelling at her out of anger but out of excitement. Then in September that same year, there was a video posted on Twitter showing Justin running away from paparazzi and fully leaving Hailey while she falls to the ground. Fans immediately took to the comments expressing their empathy for Hailey, considering that this wasn't the first time Justin just took off without her. For whatever reason, he seems to not care about the fact that he left her in an uncomfortable situation. And coming in at number 1, calling out Selena fans. Back in September, Hailey made an appearance on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast. She asked if Justin or anyone in their circle now has ever asked Selena to try and put an end to the hatred that is coming from her fans. Hailey said that she has no expectation of Selena doing that, but if that was something that she felt was necessary, then that would be amazing. She addressed the massive amounts of trolling she's she's received from haters all these years, when they flooded her Instagram lives with nasty comments, and when they stood outside the Met Gala in 2021 to scream Selena when she and Justin walked the red carpet. Hailey recalled that moment and said, "Yes, I could hear everyone screaming. I think there's a certain part of you that has a numbness. It was disrespectful to me, to my relationship. It just was, period. But I think I've endured so much disrespect, and I still do to this day, that there's a part of me that was just like another day, another negative slave." Hailey then hopped on TikTok to issue a direct message to people that were trolling her on social media. She said, "Leave me alone at this point. I'm minding my business. I don't do anything. I don't say anything. Leave me alone, please. That's the only request. Leave me alone. Be miserable somewhere else, please."